Assemble! Stay dandy, baby. It's a high-octane, head-ripping good episode of Gleipnir, the show that no one is watching. This is a really great show, I have to say. I mean, the second episode of Gleipnir completely blew me away with its overall quality, and I expected that the next episode was probably going to slow down after all of the amazing action that we got in the second episode. And yeah, the second episode does manage to take some time to breathe a little bit, delve a little bit more into the character relationships, but it also manages to go right back up to 11 by the end of the episode when we get to see that our main characters of Shuichi and Claire are formally introduced to Elena, who is absolutely terrifying in every sense and leads a lot of the scenes in this episode, making them feel incredibly terrifying. This was a good episode of Gleipnir, which again is giving me more clues as to what's truly going on with the story, with these mysterious coins and these people who are transforming into creepy, destructive monsters. In fact, the very first scene of the episode is that one blonde-haired kid who is talking to his coins intently, trying to search them, reassuring himself that he will find them all one day. Again, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I don't know why these coins are so important to this kid. Like I said in one of my previous reviews, I think he's some sort of weird leprechaun of some kind looking for his coins. I don't know. It's strange. He has the ability to transform people into monsters and he's looking for coins. It could be anything at this point, and it's not even really important to this episode. This episode mostly delves into the relationship between Shuichi and Claire, which is an interesting relationship to say the least, as they're so completely different from one another, yet they manage to hold each other up and sort of like play to the strengths of one another. That and the fact that there's just a giant sexual metaphor about this entire series of these two characters coming together, with Claire literally getting inside of Shuichi. It's very strange. This episode does a really great job of showing what's going to happen when Shuichi and Claire get into a lot of disagreements with one another. While they are genuinely trying to help each other out and keeping each other from getting killed by giant monsters, they're going to butt heads a lot, and a lot of that is just on the way that they actually view the world. Claire is all murder, murder, kill, kill. Shuichi is more of a beta male. He's not really into the whole murder thing, even the fact that he transforms into a giant destructive monster, and this is personified perfectly through the fact whenever Claire gets inside of Shuichi when he transforms into a monster, she has greater control over his body, yet he still has the ability to sort of slightly stop her from doing things, and that's what's really crazy here. They both have the same goal and a lot of the same motives, but the way that they go about them is going to cause a lot of tension between them when they actually go on these missions, and I can see this playing a part in many of the episodes in the future as it goes on. But for the most part, this was a pretty slow episode of Gleipnir, which mostly just followed Shuichi and Claire as they take a little bit of a break after the massive battle from the last episode in preparation of trying to find Elena. And something that I thought was really great about this episode is how it actually sort of surprised me. I honestly thought this entire series was sort of going to be like a build-up to finding Elena and having a big crazy conflict with her, but by the end of this episode, like the last 5 minutes, Elena just makes herself present. Like, she is just right there, ready to throw down with these characters. And the way that they built up to it was fantastic, is because Claire actually has, like, the scent of Elena, which he gives to Shuichi, who apparently has the ability to smell just about anything. We've seen hints of this in the previous episodes. He has a great sense of smell, and whenever he smells this, he just basically smells pure and utter death. And the way that it's personified in the episode by seeing all of these, like, ghastly, like, weird-looking ghouls just appear from, like, all of these different places like shadows is honestly freaking terrifying. It does kind of clash with the overall goofy look of Shuichi when he's in his overall monster form, but it adds some much needed tension and scary factor to the show when those things actually appear. Little did I know that by the end of the episode, these were actually sort of like the forms that Elena is going to take with her crazy monster form, which is unlike a lot of the other ones that we've actually seen from the series thus far. She still has the one thing that all these monsters have in common, which is whenever they start to transform, their pupils transform into like a plus shape, but her actual like monster form basically is like shadows itself, and she can sort of like separate and make her body like transform into a lot of different ways. Like when they actually find her getting off of this train for the first time, they actually hide in the bushes, which I have to say is the most unstealthy looking hiding that I've ever seen. I mean, how are you not going to notice the giant freaking mascot creature? But they got their gun ready, they're getting ready to attack, and as soon as she starts to walk out, Claire just immediately goes for the kill, with Shuichi stopping her at the last second before she starts to dematerialize and get right behind him, before suddenly transforming into a cute, scared girl. She's actually realizing what's going on here, that this creature before her is none other than Shuichi. There were hints that she knew him in the last episode, but it's pretty clear here that she's very remorseful for what she's done in having him get transformed into this giant goofy monster, and she feels really bad about all of this stuff, going as far as to realizing that she deserves to die, and if anybody's going to kill her, it's going to be Shuichi. The problem is when she starts to reveal all of this stuff, she hears a female voice, and that's none other than Claire, and this suddenly makes her just go crazy. Whenever she hears her sister, she immediately transforms into practically another person and starts to go into her monster form yet again before grabbing on to Shuichi's head and quite literally ripping it off. Now, this scene is really shocking and incredibly striking looking, but it also begs a number of questions. What can Shuichi survive? I mean, this is episode 3 of Gleipnir. They're not going to kill off the main character 3 episodes into the series unless they're really trying to do something incredibly bold here, but the fact of the matter is, his head was ripped off so that she could see what was actually going on inside of him. But if he is able to survive this event, it really shows that he's going to be able to take a lot of damage before he actually does die, which gives him a really unique ability, to say the least. But it also brings up a number of other questions. Why is Elena so angry at her sister in the first place? I mean, what was it that, triggered her to go so insane about her sister? It leads me to believe that Claire is not being entirely truthful about everything that happened with her house and her family being killed. It almost paints Claire as almost like kind of a mysterious and creepy villain herself, and I really just want to know more of what's actually going on here. But for this type of event to take place this early on in the series, honestly, has me kind of shocked, and I can't wait to see how it's all eventually going to play out in the next episode of the series. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Gleipnir? Like I said, kind of a slow burn episode, which definitely evokes the super hot feelings of summer, but I think that's what they were actually trying to go for in this episode. Those lazy days of summer where all you hear are cicadas. Although, you hear this in 100% of other animes all the time, so it's really not that strange, but I thought it was sort of a nice juxtaposition to how really intense and crazy things got by the end of the episode. Elena herself is a cute and very disturbing character, very much like her very own sister, although the fact that she can transform into a creepy shadow monster that can rip things heads off, that does sort of up the ante just a little bit. Like I said, that final scene is incredibly striking in the way that it's actually composed. I love the actual final image of the episode of her ripping off Shuichi's head with her sort of glaring in between where it was ripped off. It's just a really striking piece of imagery, and I truly do love it. It's things in anime like that I always love. It's one of those images that's just going to stick out in my mind for a long time. It's one of those images where whenever I think of Gleipnir, I'm probably going to think of this actual event, which is pretty awesome to say the least. I really thought that this was a pretty solid experience as far as the rest of the series goes, and what started out as sort of a trashy popcorn kind of anime is turning into what might be one of my most intriguing shows of 2020, and one that I really look forward to watching every single week. I really liked this episode. It was a little slow for my tastes, but still, it was a nice development episode between Shuichi and Claire, who continue to be sort of the heart of the entire series, although they're also planting the seeds for other storylines later on. There's that one schoolgirl, the classmate of Shuichi, who makes a very small appearance in this episode and actually sees both Shuichi and Claire hanging out, and of course she's visibly upset by actually seeing this. She clearly has some sort of feelings for him, or maybe something else. I'm not really sure. It's a very confusing scene, to say the least, but it's a little moment like that that sort of breaks up some of the other tension and quieter moments of the episode, not to mention just seeing Elena just show up just randomly at the end of the episode like that was really shocking. And I think that's really what this entire series is going to be all about, is the shock value. I mean, it wasn't enough that we got a super violent and brutal action scene in the last episode. Now we have Shuichi getting his head ripped off in the very next one. It looks like the type of series that's always going to try and one-up itself in terms of what that actually doing. So yeah, super excited for that. I liked this episode. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I would love to hear from you guys. If any of you did watch it, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. What do you think is going to happen with Elena here? Are they going to continue to have some sort of epic battle? Is this just the beginning of the confrontations between these characters? Is Shuichi going to survive having his head frigging ripped off? What do you want to see from the rest of Gleipnir? Let's discuss all of it in the comments section below. Thank you all for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit that like button. Transform into a monster and smash it if you must. Please do it. It's very easy to do and it helps out these videos a lot. If you really want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel, please check out my Patreon in the description box below. You can make a small donation, even just $1, that will help out tremendously, and it'll give you an opportunity to allow me to review an anime series of your choice. So please make sure to check that out. Otherwise, please just continue to watch and share these videos with your friends. With that, I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.